places I learnt to pray and to receive a strong prayer life was actually one of this 10-day retreat we went on together, Immaculate Mission School. Our flights got cancelled and we were stuck together. But I think one of the blessings I've had, is having that time for God in retreats, with chaplaincy and kind of having some good formation, having good community around me helps, get that kick started. So I definitely recommend, like, if there's a retreat comes up, or definitely jump on it, but don't like kind of the pitfall could be trusting in kind of a retreat or experience or like some spiritual program or devotion to kind of set you up. And for me, obviously it wasn't spontaneous. I think I'm completely a saint when I met Christ in that beautiful moment in Florence. But at first when I began to grow a strong prayer life, it was kind of out of that emotion, out of that kind of really deep need for God, and getting in touch with that deep need with God is a good starting point, I guess. Realizing your vulnerability, realizing your brokenness, how much you need God is always a good place to start. And getting in touch with those deepest desires of your heart. But I guess one of the things that one of my another experiences was going on doing Exodus 90. So doing a program where it invites you to do mental prayer each day, which is like 20 minutes contemplative prayer, where you kind of sit with the Lord and you receive Him. You sit the grace of God. Kind of that you kind of embrace the identity of who you are as a son of God, a daughter of God, and you just sit with it. You don't kind of think a million things. You just sit with that. You just rest in the thought of God. You rest upon, and finding that in your everyday life, whether you're waiting for the bus stop, you're waiting for the shower to warm up, or to rest in the thought of God, and having that attitude of, I just need to rest in God while I'm waiting for this, or I guess one of the most practical things that I heard was just kind of beginning with, like, before you touch your feet even touch the ground, you need to make the sign of the cross, and then have a morning offering. It can be very simple. I have this war of the saints and a lady, and I kind of make consecration to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and Pure Heart of Saint Joseph. Put on the armor of God, Ephesians 6, and having that fixed kind of, and then before I go to bed, I make the sign of the cross before my head hits the pillow. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, I think that's the most practical, basic step you can make. Like, don't let your head hit the pillow without making the sign of the cross. Don't let your feet touch the ground without making a sign of the cross, or making an act of devotion. So you're having these kind of anchored prayers day. Obviously, there's so much in the church, Angelus. There's obviously the office of readings to be good, but practically, just make the sign of the cross, make an offering to God in the morning, make an examination of conscience at night, which is important. Reviewing where you felt God's presence and where you responded to that. You did something good, or you did, or where you've kind of failed and you fell back, and just realizing that before you go to bed, and just kind of making a resolve to do something, to make amends, or to kind of resolve to do better the next day. I was going to say one more thing. I just recently, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but I just recently read this book. What's it called? Sorry, I'm just trying to find The Way of the Pilgrim. It's this really cool book. It's like this Eastern spiritual Orthodox book, but it's about this Russian guy who walks into church on the 24th Sunday after Pentecost, and he hears the epistle. St. Paul says, "Pray unceasingly," and then he basically wanders around Russia, and he's meeting all these spiritual fathers and elders, and they teach him the Jesus prayer, which is this prayer where you say, "Jesus Christ, Son of the living God, have mercy on me." And you just repeat that just constantly, unceasingly. And so that with that kind of resting upon the foot of God in those awkward moments of life, or kind of those waiting moments of life, we also recite that prayer: Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, a sinner. But what it really this book is about is kind of interior life, the interior prayer of the heart, where, and I kind of discovered this more recently when I was getting too caught up in these programs or these devotions, and just kind of going through the motions of kind of say the rosary, I say this morning prayer, I say this thing, go to mass, whatever, which are essential. I'm not saying they're not, but if they're not having that effective prayer, as Father was talking about last week, having that heart to heart with the Lord, having that 20 minutes to an hour of silence and adoration, of course, obviously a bit hard at the moment, but yeah, I gave a lot there, but most practically just to say, make the sign of the cross, make an offering in the morning, and don't let your head hit the pillow before making an aspiration to God, or as authors say, ejaculatory prayer, which is going to sound a bit awkward, but that's kind of that fervor for God and that interior life. So yeah, pray, have a fixed morning, evening prayer, or kind of before bed. 20 minutes of silent prayer, meditation. You can read the Gospels, have some spiritual reading, and then don't overburden yourself either. Just start small steps.